Hey everyone, and welcome! If you're a Java developer, you've probably heard the buzz around Spring Boot. Well, today we're going to do a quick explainer on what it is and why it's pretty much changed the game for building Java applications. You know the drill, right? You're wrestling with tons of XML files, trying to get all your dependencies to play nice. And all you really want to do is just write some code. It can be a total headache. Well, that exact feeling of frustration, that's what Spring Boot is here to fix. Okay, so here's the game plan. First, we'll get straight to the point. What is Spring Boot? Then we'll look at how it gives you a massive head start with these things called starter packs. After that, we'll break down what a typical application looks like, explore the magic of annotations that hold it all together, and finally see just how easy it is to get your app up and running.
All right, let's dive right in. Section 1. What is Spring Boot really? The simplest way to think about it is a shift in philosophy. It's all about taking Java development from something that feels complex to something that's surprisingly simple.
So the official definition is nice and clean. Spring Boot is a framework that makes it incredibly easy to create standalone, production-grade Spring applications that you can, and I quote, just run. It's what we call opinionated, which just means it makes a lot of smart decisions for you right out of the box.
So how does it pull this off? Well, there are a few key ingredients. First, auto-configuration. This is kind of magical. Spring Boot just looks at the libraries you've included and automatically configures things for you. It also comes with web servers like Tomcat built right in, so you don't have to set one up separately. It's packed with production-ready features from the get-go, and maybe the best part, it just destroys the amount of boilerplate setup code you have to write.
Okay, let's move on to Section 2, your project's starter pack. The best way to understand this is to think of them as pre-packaged kits for building your app. I absolutely love this analogy. Seriously, think about it. If building an app is like cooking a big meal, then starter dependencies are those meal kit delivery boxes. Instead of you having to go to the store and hunt down 20 different ingredients, you just get a box. It has everything you need, all measured out, ready to go for a specific recipe. And here's what those meal kits look like in your actual code. You need to build a web app? Boom. Just add Spring Boot Starter Web. That one box gives you a web server, REST functionality, the whole shebang. Need to talk to a database? Spring Boot Starter Data JPA has your back. Security? Yep, there's a starter for that. It is such an efficient way to pull together exactly what you need. Okay, so we've got our starter packs, we've got our ingredients. What does the application itself actually look like? That brings us to Section 3, the anatomy of an application and how all these different pieces fit together. This is a super common and really solid way to structure a Spring Boot app. Just imagine a request comes in from a user's web browser. First, it hits the @risk controller. Think of this as the front desk. It directs traffic. The controller then passes the request off to a service class. This is where the brains of the operation are. All the business logic happens here. If that service needs data, it talks to an @repository, whose only job is to get stuff from the database. And what does that stuff look like? Well, it's represented by an @entity. It's a really clean, logical flow. So you might be wondering, how does Spring Boot know that one class is a controller and another is a service? Well, this is where the real magic happens. Let's talk about annotations. This is how you give your code instructions without writing tons of configuration. Honestly, this is the best way to think about them. All those little tags you see that start with an symbol, they're just job titles. You're not writing some complex setup file. You're just labeling your code. You're telling Spring, hey, your job is to be a REST controller, or your job is to be a service. So let's look at some of these key job titles. @Spring Boot application is the big one. It's like the main power switch for the whole app. @REST controller we've met, that tells a class to handle incoming web requests. And then you have things like @getMapping or @postmapping that get more specific, telling it exactly what kind of requests to listen for. And if we look down at the data layer, we find the job titles for our data itself. You label a class with @entity, and you're telling Spring, hey, this class right here, it maps directly to a table in my database. An @ID is super important. It just points to which field in that class is the unique primary key for the database table. Simple as that. And finally, we have the annotations that really glue everything together. We've seen @service and @repository, but the really powerful one here is @autowired. This is something called dependency injection. It sounds fancy, but the idea is amazing. Instead of you having to manually create and connect all the objects your code needs, you just ask for them. You say, hey, Spring, my service needs a repository to do its job, and Spring just automatically provides one for you. It's the magic glue that connects all the pieces. Okay, we've built our app. We've given everything a job title using annotations. So now what? Well, now it's time for the fun part. This brings us to our final section, running your application and bringing this thing to life. And this is where that simplicity we talked about really shines. Just look at these commands. You want to start a brand new project? Spring in it. You're ready to see your app in action? MVN Spring Boot Run. That's it. No complicated deployment, no external servers to mess with. You just run that one command, and your application, with its built-in web server, just fires right up. So, here's the bottom line. Spring Boot just gets out of your way. It removes all the friction, all the tedious setup, so you can focus on the thing that actually matters. The logic, the features, the creative part of building something cool. It makes getting from an idea to a running app incredibly fast. Which, of course, leads us to the most important question. With all that speed and power at your fingertips, what will you build?